2, 1.
Welcome to the Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 meeting of the Longmeadow School Committee. Mass General Law allows for remote participation at public meetings until June 30th, 2027. All votes while there is remote participation must be made by roll call vote. This meeting is being recorded and aired live on LCTV. School committee members, when I call your name, please say here for the record. Nicole?
Here.
Zach?
Here.
Kate?
Here.
Jamie?
Here.
Emily?
Here.
And Adam?
Here.
Adam's not here. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, I'd like to ask the committee to join me in recognizing the passing of Dr. Kara Crandall, a beloved member of the Glenbrook staff who sadly passed away on March 6th. So we'll take a moment of silence. Thank you. Correspondence?
The following correspondence has been received by the school committee. An email from Kurt Friedman dated February 25th, 2026. An email from Teresa DiGiulio dated February 26, 2026. And an email from Mike Cox dated March 4th, 2026.
Thank you. Next we have approval of minutes.
I recommend that the school committee, or I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the February 10th, 2026 school committee meeting as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Zach?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the February 24th, 2026 school committee meeting as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Zach?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too. Next we have public speak. There's no one here tonight for public speak, and nobody on the Zoom? No?
No.
Just Emily? So we'll move on to our student business with guests. None? Right? No?
Correct.
So we're moving on to student representative report. Monica?
All right, so as you may have noticed, there's the community choral concert going on right now. I know I saw a bunch of people walking in when I was pulling in, and that's the elementary, middle schools, and high schools all come together to do their concert, and it's really sweet. I've been a few years. And then the senior class play, I know I talked about this a little bit already last time, but it's this week. On the 12th and 13th at 7 p.m. and then the 14th at 1 p.m. It's coming together, so we hope it goes well. Fingers crossed. Yeah. And then the last thing is that there's a leprechaun hunt on St. Patrick's Day, the 17th. So students look for leprechauns in the halls, and then when they find one, they can bring it to the office and exchange it for a little prize. So that's all it is.
Fun.
Good luck with the play.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are going to try to come on Saturday.
Nice.
Are you
in the play, Monica?
I'm ensemble, but yeah, I dance in the background a
There's
little.
no small rules.
No.
Thank
Have
you.
Fun.
All right.
My granddaughter's high school did the same play this past spring.
Really?
And she was Donna.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
Big part.
It's a good one. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, so next is the chair report. So first, I just want to say thank you to all the teachers and the staff for the time and care that they put into all the parent-teacher conferences over the last month at all the schools. I know at the elementary schools they were last week, and conferences take a lot of preparation and coordination and flexibility, and I got a lot of positive feedback as a school committee member about how it's going for people, and even about like improvements from the first implementation to the second. So I just wanted to say how much we appreciate the many ways teachers worked to accommodate families by offering many different kinds of meeting formats and extending the schedule because it really helped parents connect more meaningfully with their child's learning and growth. And then I wanted to highlight an upcoming event, the power of emotional intelligence. It's the Yale Ruler Night, so it's about the social emotional curriculum that's being used, but it's also going to go over resources and strategies for emotional intelligence, and it's on March 19th, which is a Thursday, from 6:30 to 7:30 in central office. And it's really important, and there's actually a lot of research about the impact of emotional intelligence and social emotional skills, and it's how important it is to academic and life outcomes. And actually about 90% of top job performers across all industries have observable high emotional intelligence. So it does go just even beyond academics. It's like a life skill, and it starts like social emotional skills are the building blocks to like the skills we talk about when we talk about vision of a graduate, and I know Dr. O'Shea last night was calling it say it wrong.
AI-proof skills.
I was calling it anti-AI. But it's like those durable, deep skills. It's just like, they don't get just like built haphazardly. They're built, the building blocks are the social and emotional learning. So it's really important for parents to come to events like that and learn about it and get the resources to help their child develop those skills. So it's Thursday, March 19th, 6:30 to 7:30 at Central Office. Okay, that's it for me.
A few items for the committee, if I'm up, I think I'm up.
Yeah, sorry.
A few items for you tonight. So to echo what Michaela said, we had our full day of conferences on Friday, and appreciate educators kind of extending themselves and offering, as Michaela said, conferences in multiple formats, and really we're trying to sort of shift the culture a little bit around conferences where it's the conversation happens when it is needed most for students, rather than sort of relying on fixed, sometimes artificial conference dates and days. Our educators are really stepping up and being willing to engage parents throughout the academic year. But the full day of conferences was a great opportunity to make those formal connections. We presented the school committee's budget to the select board last night. I would say it was well received. They appreciated the work of the school committee in advancing a budget that I think is manageable and responsible, but also drives our strategic priorities. So we received some good feedback, good questions from the select board. Of course, the town's full costs and revenue projections are not finalized. So more to come on that. Ultimately, it concludes with the May town meeting. The center school search is underway. The window for applications is closed. I want to thank Kate for joining us on the screening committee. But it's a very thorough process. It will take us some time to go through that very thoughtfully and hopefully identify the next great leader of center school. Danica mentioned the townwide concert tonight, so if we adjourn early enough, we could all take a walk down there. I know I will. We have on March 13th an early release day. Appreciate the committee supporting those opportunities for our educators to work collaboratively on those early release days. In broad strokes, just so you understand what we're up to, is Yale Ruler training at the elementary level. Our middle educators will meet with the design team and begin some planning around a program of studies, a written program of studies that we hope to bring to the school committee at some point soon. So that's sort of the program as it currently exists, and that will be a springboard for the program as it will exist when we open in 2028. So that's at the middle school. At the high school, our high school educators will dive into Universal Design for Learning with our partners at Bay Path University. So it will be a busy day. Right down to our paraprofessionals across the district will engage in some work around understanding trauma mental health providers will understand how to do risk assessments to understand suicidality among students. And then even our preschool teachers are diving into an early literacy series. So lots happening on that early release day. It's really, really valuable time, and we think we're making really good purposeful use of it. Every activity on the 13th is purposefully tied to our district goals. Couple more items for you, and we'll bring you more information on this in the weeks ahead. On Friday, we learned that what we're expecting for our Title I distribution from the federal government is below what we had projected, so we're still unpacking that and understanding what the limitations might be on our FY27 budget, so more to follow on that. Nilda Irizarry, kudos to her for her work to advance SEL. I appreciate Michaela underscoring the importance of that. We recently gathered a bunch of ninth grade students to help us understand their experience, to help us better understand school climate in order to be more responsive to students and provide stronger supports. Nilda also wanted to note that she has taken part in an interfaith series sponsored by the Islamic Society of Western Massachusetts, so we appreciate Nilda representing us and understanding the needs of the interfaith community out there in Longmeadow and beyond. We also, another policy matter that will likely make its way to the policy subcommittee and the full school committee is around timeout and seclusion. So the state has some new regulatory language around timeout and seclusions that are used in school. We have no seclusion rooms, just for the record. But it's the state being protective of the most vulnerable learners across the state, so that's great. And then tomorrow night, SEAL is hosting a workshop to assist families with understanding the needs of students who are transitioning in that sort of 18 to 22 age bracket. So that's the SEAL workshop tomorrow night. So lots of good stuff happening. If you have any questions on any of those, happy to answer.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
No? Okay. Other reports? LPVEC Board of Directors.
So the meeting this past month was canceled due to they didn't have a quorum. Unfortunately, I believe I'm going to be missing this month's meeting because of a meeting conflict. So we'll get on the horses soon.
Thank you. LPVEC Board of Governors.
We meet again next week.
Great. SEAL, as Dr. O'Shea was saying, there's a presentation tomorrow night at 7, and it's on Zoom, and you can register ahead of time. And it's by the Federation of Children with Special Needs. It's presented by this advocate, Karen, who is just so experienced, and her presentations are so good. And it's on transition services. So as Dr. O'Shea said, that 18 to 22 programming and services. And then the upcoming next meeting is April 8th, and it's going to be the special ed budget conversation, which might be really interesting because maybe we can also talk about like the Department of Ed and federal funds, and always a good time.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Energy and sustainability.
We meet again on Thursday.
Thanks, Emily. Right, new business.
Is your first item the exchange
Yep.
student? So in your packet was a memo from Tom Landers. He is proposing that the committee authorize the acceptance of an exchange student. The student is from Germany. It's the Hastings family in Longmeadow that would be the host family, and they have hosted international students in the past, so they are familiar with the benefits and the expectations. So we're happy to partner with the Hastings family if it's approved by the school committee. Just for your purposes, we can assure you that the student is joining us from an accredited international exchange program. That's part of your policy, that the student the participating agency has to be accredited. Can assure you that Tom has indicated that there's space, that it won't affect programming and services and class size in any measurable way. So for your consideration, the acceptance of an exchange student for the 26-27 school year from Germany.
I think an exchange student brings a lot of depth to the student population too. I was lucky enough to be able to have exchange students in my house growing up, and I was an exchange student. So if you want to know how I feel about exchange students,
That's great.
do we have extra 20 minutes? Do we have a motion?
In accordance with foreign exchange student policy, policy JFAB-R, I move that the school committee approve Pia Marie Bose for enrollment as a foreign exchange student at Long Meadow High School for the 26-2027 school year.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Zach?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too.
How often do we have exchange students?
It's almost become annual now.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
I
Yeah.
think since I've been on the school committee, there's been at least one. every
One?
year. Yep. I get
Do we
very
ever have
excited.
more than one?
Not in
No.
recent memory. I can't recall where we had more than one. We would be open to it.
And do we ever have our students go abroad for a program?
I'd say, yeah.
Didn't they go to Japan? Right? Wasn't
For,
that?
for a school year?
No,
Not for a whole school
yeah.
year. They went
Yeah.
in the
They did.
summer.
Yeah.
I'd say there are students that probably, go for an overseas experience, but it's nothing that we approve necessarily.
I
They would
see.
something they
We
would
just
do.
approved that
Right.
someone coming to us.
Coming to us, correct.
Gotcha.
So next on our new business is Chromebook.
Did we take it? You took a vote on the.
Yep, we did.
I'm sorry. Chromebook protection plan. So joining us tonight, Nick George is our IT director. You can come on up, Nick.
Oh, okay.
If you'll give me a moment, I'll share my screen with you. Let's see here. Excuse me 1 second. About the delay.
Can I ask a question? It's not specifically addressing this particular policy in terms of the protection plan, but do we have an adjunct policy in terms of, I think I asked Marty about this, students who learn differently opting out entirely of having a Chromebook?
We do not, but certainly there would be some protections, let's say, or some accommodations through an IEP. So if a student, had that level of learning difference, then potentially an IEP or a 504 or even a DCAP might accommodate a student who can't access a Chromebook. So I'd say we would approach access to a Chromebook in the same way that we would approach access to a lecture or a movie or any other way that instruction's presented. But I'm not aware of any specific policy that we have that would cover that, unless, I don't know if Nick or Tom can think otherwise. All right, so for your consideration this evening, this is something that has been a topic of conversation at Policy Sub, going back a couple of years now, but I think it was also part of the conversation that the school committee had with our administrative team when you met sort of in that retreat format back earlier in the year. And we think that it's sort of the responsible, responsive thing to do to offer an optional Chromebook protection plan. And so sort of starting with some basic assumptions here that very much this is about learning continuity, that ensuring that, we have a real clear plan in place to regarding device damage and failure, so that if a device is lost or a device fails or a device is damaged, intentionally or not, that we have a plan in place to replace the Chromebooks. Providing relief for families. We recognize that the $250 or $300 cost of replacing a device can be burdensome to some families. We have had families reach out to us and ask why we do not have a protection plan. I'd say it's more common than not for districts to offer a protection plan. We'll get into some of the details shortly. We also think that this is really part of our fiduciary responsibility, that we feel like we without that protection plan, that we're not protecting the huge investment that the school committee has made in these important devices. And so, without a protection plan, I think administratively we feel like there would need to be a really dedicated annual operational commitment to the replacement of devices, beyond the replacement that comes with the ordinary failure that happens perhaps after 5 years of device usage. We'd say that, currently this isn't so out of the ordinary in the sense that currently we do charge students for accidental or intentional damage to school property. And so whether it's a textbook or a school uniform or some other piece of school equipment, we feel like there's some analogous situation here in terms of the how we approach accidental or intentional damage. And then one of the other starting assumptions here is just, and this is a conversation that we have with students and families often, is that students are not permitted to use their personal devices at school, that it's important for universal equity access, to provide a common experience, to provide a safe experience for all students, to manage the fleet of devices and to push out software and manage the network. It's really important that there be a single device. And so that's a conversation that the more we tighten up on that, the more important it is for us to have a good Chromebook protection plan in place. So the plan that we would propose, and I just sort of side note, certainly no action is necessary by the committee tonight. The slide deck here mirrors the more narrative information that was provided in your packet, but I know Policy Sub has had a chance to discuss this, but with this being the first time the full committee has considered it, we don't have any expectation of any action by the committee tonight. You may feel like you have enough information, but there may be additional information you need. So, covered by the plan would be accidental damage. Student drops their device, they spill something on it, spill water, coffee, soda, whatever, damage to the screen, damage to the keyboard, all of that would be covered by the plan. Intentional damage, if a student intentionally damaged a Chromebook, it happens rarely, but it's not unheard of for a student to be upset for some reason and take it out on their Chromebook. Those situations would not be covered by the plan. We also would sort of essentially drop coverage for repetitive damage, and these would be things that would be assessed by and evaluated by our IT director. So ultimately, we want Nick to sort of do an informed assessment of a device to determine if it's ordinary failure, or if it's accidental damage, or if it's intentional damage. And then if there's any instance of documented theft, whether an administrator can document it or a police report can document it, those things would be covered by the plan. If a family simply lost their device, couldn't produce the device, that would not be covered by the plan. The pricing plan that we would propose, that annually this would be $30 per device. First and second device would be at the full rate. If a family had 3 or 4 children, there'd be a discount, and then would be free for the fourth device and above. As in all cases, we would provide subsidies to families. That's something that Tom manages for us. We would provide subsidies to families who find that protection plan to be challenging. Some additional information. The current device replacement is $250. The thought would be that we would encourage families as part of our communication rollout to purchase optional protective covers or travel cases. We would want families to formally opt in or opt out of coverage. That would be something they would have to go into Power School to make that election one way or another. In all cases, ordinary failure would be covered. If a family declined coverage, there would be an obligation to pay in all cases except for ordinary failure. Again, ultimately, Nick would be available to evaluate devices to determine eligibility for coverage or eligibility for replacement due to ordinary failure. If this is something that the school committee approved, we would take the next steps to finalize an online payment method, a claims process, and then a communication plan to families. So for your consideration, if there's additional information that you need, if you have any questions for us tonight, again, no expectation that you take action tonight unless you feel like you have sufficient information to do so.
We want to implement this for the 26-27 school year.
Thank you. Important detail, yes. This would be to begin in the 26-27 school year, yes.
And we would preemptively request parents to opt in or out by a certain date?
We would probably over the summer include this as part of our summer communication and ask families to formally opt in or opt out. Should also note that the thought is that this would apply to students in grades 6 through 12. We really don't have much of a challenge with damage at the elementary level, partly because in most cases the students are leaving their Chromebooks in the classroom. So this is really a 6 through 12, a plan to cover families in grades 6 through 12.
So I just had another thought. I mean, my memory is that a student keeps their Chromebook throughout their years at school.
Can you help us out with that, Nick? Is that?
So Chromebook, so an individual student Chromebook's age, well, I guess it doesn't really matter because it's not gonna cover if it fails because of age.
Yeah.
Okay. I just answered my own question. Yeah. So I mean, I was just concerned that some students would have older devices than other students, but we're not too worried about that aspect of it.
Right. I mean, you'll know if it's a device failure because it was towards the end of its useful life, because it won't be broken in half or the screen won't be cracked, right?
Gotcha.
So our goal would be to proactively replace devices because it became a common failure at the 5 years or 5.5 year mark, which is what we've generally been hitting. But yeah.
Okay.
I think right now it's difficult, I'd say, for our administrators to expect or require the full replacement fee in the cases of accidental damage. Because I think what they'll say to us is, Marty, one of the first questions that we get in cases of accidental damage is, why don't you have a protection plan? Mm-hmm. And so we feel like we'd be in a better position to address accidental damage with this plan.
Do we have already a set fee or how would this apply when you're talking about things like lost chargers?
So
I suspect is more common.
Yeah, so the Chromebooks when we charge, it's a $250 replacement fee. That's been pretty consistent over the life of our use of that product, from buying them in 2019 up through now. So that's been the cost we've charged. I don't think we've, in this policy, landed on a cost for lost chargers. In all honesty, I don't know if I should be sharing this, but we have an abundance of them because our Chromebooks now use a standardized charger, which wasn't the case in the past. So even when a Chromebook gets replaced at the end of its 5-year cycle, it still has a charger that's generally perfectly good, and the next batch of 500 come in with 500 new chargers. The vendor doesn't really let us say we don't need those to save some money. So there's plentiful chargers if there's a case where someone needs to plug in during the school day because they forgot to charge overnight. And also, they're not to get too technical, but because they're standardized, any modern USB-C charger works with them.
Okay.
So even if
Oh,
someone
okay.
loses the school one, we might not even hear about it because over the course of the life of the product, they're just charging at home on whatever they have available.
Okay.
So thankfully, it's one of those things that's become less of an issue as
Yeah.
time has gone on. Standardization has helped us.
I say when
Except
we
for
first
fighting whose charger is whose in the household.
That's, yeah.
That's
Sure.
mine.
when we first considered this a couple of years ago, we were thinking about sort of a charger replacement fee, but replacement cost, but it's become a moot issue, really.
So we don't charge right now for if somebody loses a charger, like say graduating seniors. kind of
Sure.
thing as well.
I mean, I guess we haven't really encountered that at this point, but I'm not sure that we'd be highly motivated to reclaim lost costs on a 5-year-old charger when we have an abundance of them, you know?
Gotcha.
And I think when students do lose them or if they fail, we don't generally even hear about them because they just make use of another one at home and they're charging at home,
Okay.
and it doesn't affect the school day. Yeah.
I would just say thank you to Nick and everybody that had a role in rolling this out. I think it's a really cool and positive step. And unfortunately, I need to excuse myself. I'm going to head over to the choral concert.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
I just had one question. So you said that there would be like a repeat, if there was like a repeated offender, then they just wouldn't be offered the protection plan anymore. So they'd have to go back to the original 250.
Right.
They'd still have access to a computer.
Oh, yeah,
every time they
of
get
course,
money.
yep.
Just checking. I know I've been on the policy subcommittee for 3 years and we've discussed this for 3 years. So I also feel like it's important to, like we've spent a lot of time on it.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't like the policy, so it's
Oh,
not
okay.
anything new to anybody. But can you go to the second page? Here's where my issue is.
Which page? This one?
It's how you're going to manage this. Keep going down. Keep going down.
Right here?
Keep going. So that spot there says I decline coverage. So I
Yes.
said I'm good.
Yeah.
And then I'm obligated to pay for anything except for failure,
Right.
right? But I can tell you, I have 4 at my house, and I have junk, and I have good ones. So I'm not taking any but good ones then. I mean, in that case, because you're not, like, ordinary failure is just so random, right? Because they tend to break a little bit more. Ones that are worn 3 or 4 years, I want 1-year ones on all mine then. If I decline, I'm going to say that as participating in this. I have 4 new in there. I'm not taking any of the 4 or 5-year-old ones. It's not fair. Because I'm going to decline coverage all day long because it just doesn't make any sense. Because my kids just go from one to the other. They go to the same one out of all 4 of ours because all the other ones don't work that well. And they're kind of junk. I mean, I almost say, do we really want to own a $250 device? Should we be upgrading our devices instead of buying junk? Why don't we buy something good? It's like buying quality. If you don't buy quality, it's just going to keep breaking and breaking, and then we create a policy for the breaking device. I mean, or do you just invest and buy quality and then, really make people responsible for it? I mean, that's my issue with it, because I see all of my kids sit at my bar and they'll all be using them, and then they're switching from one to the other because the other one doesn't work, and then the other one jumps on the others and kind of figures it all out because they have an old one. So I'm going to walk in and say I want one that's brand new.
But if you had an older one that was prone to failure, it wouldn't matter because you could, ordinary failure, the student would be issued another device. not
Say it
just-
drops off my counter and breaks. A 5-year-old one will have a better chance of breaking than a 1-year-old one. I guarantee it. It's no different, definitely. Come to my house. You can watch all 4 of the ones that are sitting there. The one is very, from the opening and whatnot, that one is more prone that if it fell off, it could break easier than the ones that are brand new. It's just the way it is. It's
And
like,
it does happen. Like,
and it happens, like, so it's just not really, my opinion is I decline coverage because I think it isn't, like, I'm gonna look at it and go, I want new ones. And that's my opinion on why I don't love the policy. I get why, but like, it's just because we have junky Chromebooks. I mean, is the way I look at it. I mean, I wouldn't buy this on my own because I think it's junk. If you buy junk, I'm going to replace it 2 or 3 years from now. Should we be looking at buying better? Is there a better device for our students versus,
So there's been, I would say, variability in the quality of Chromebooks to acknowledge what you're observing.
Yeah.
Because we bought them through a global pandemic,
Yeah.
we bought them when they first came out, we bought them 5 years after they came out. We had some models that were more prone to failures, but I do think that the nature of those failures presents very differently than abuse. If a Chromebook comes in and it's 4 years old and it's got a very loose hinge, and the kid says, well, the display, blacks out once in a while, I'm not sure that would be looked at, I think, as a worn device, a normal failure that would be swapped for a newer device if it was affecting the ability for the student to use the device.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, there are nicer devices. I mean, Apple just came out with a laptop that's $499. That's more expensive than $250. It doesn't include the management cost, which would be a yearly fee, which is included in the $250 fee here. The rollout would be interesting. How do you do that, right? Are you going to do it across the fleet all at once? It's a device that Apple's come out with at $500, and the speculation is it might be a good device for 3 years, but it's constrained in certain hardware specs to get to that price point. So I don't know if there's a perfect answer. If we could issue students $1,000 MacBook Airs, I'm sure they would be nicer devices, obviously, like that. I will say that the Chromebooks that we have right now that we've been buying, I think it's a good time to roll out the policy, partly because we've shared feedback to the manufacturer that, sometimes these feel kind of cheap and flimsy. The newest batch that we bought, we literally took one of the demo ones we got and threw it around, could not get it to crack. Took one of the older ones, threw it around, on like the third drop it cracked, right? Yeah. Now, I guess I don't know, like, how did we manage textbooks? Do older textbooks have binding that rips off more? I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but I don't know if we're in a place to give students new devices across an entire fleet all at once and change platforms to something that would be different, and then know that it would play out well over a 5-year replacement cycle. Yeah. I would say, like, if people have devices at home that are in such bad condition that they don't appear usable, and it's through no fault of the student's device, they should report that to us, and we would consider if it's appropriate replacing it. Also, with the batch that we've gotten most recently, we did a purchase of 800 devices. So the way we're prioritizing that is we're just running a report of the oldest devices in the fleet, so we can get the students' name, grade level, homeroom, and we're working on getting those swapped out for students. If we get a student's device back and it's a 5.5-year-old machine we're replacing and it's broken, we're not anticipating charging a person at that point.
So say all 4 of my kids' devices break, and then I give you $1,000, right? Do I own them?
No, the district owns them.
I mean, I that's my issue with it, is like, if you want me to be on the hook for it, let me go be on. And I get it, you're trying to be, but it's just not.
I think it's a more nuanced question. Is those 4 devices, do they break? Are they broken because of ordinary wear and tear and age and
No, but
use?
if I decline coverage, I'm obligated to go buy new ones.
No.
No. Do you mean like at the end of its useful life? Oh, okay. Just to be clear, yeah. If someone doesn't opt in to any accidental damage protection,
Yeah, the useful life, and so
which we would normally try to anticipate at 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And if those 4 devices that you're talking about fail because of their age,
then it's no big deal.
Then it's no harm, no foul. You wouldn't be
You could
charged.
say it's 3 years and we're using 5, and you're going, oh, it's not useful, then I've got to buy a new device.
Well, I mean, I guess if your determination is that it's not useful, but I look at it and go, this is a Chromebook.
Yeah.
It is a Chromebook. Then there would be your call, I suppose. But if we're not allowing students to use personal devices at school, which there are good reasons for that, right?
Yeah.
You would be prevented from doing that. But as far as like it getting to the point of being unusable, that should just be replaced as part of our normal replacement cycle.
That's just my bigger thing. I just don't like spending, and I get what you're saying. How do you enact doing Apple through the whole thing? I mean, the reality is none of their Chromebooks are useful. I get on them and you can't type. They don't work that well. I mean, why aren't you guys all using Chromebooks then? That's you follow. I get you can't spend $1,000 or probably $1,500. All those are, but they're not that useful. So before we I feel like we're making a policy to fix a bad device. So, and that's what I don't love about it. But I'm only obviously one committee member, so.
I mean, you're not the only one saying this in the world, right? There's plenty of people who are wondering if the quality of devices or if it makes sense what people at different school districts are doing. I guess my view is I just personally think that's a separate conversation from the optional program. To me, the optional program only benefits the families who opt into it. And those families will be the ones, I think, who would say, we don't want a $250 surprise. $30 is easy for us to plan for. It also gives like an easier onboarding to an experience for a student when they're like learning about responsibility for a device, I suppose. If they accidentally damage a device, $250 is a lot to swallow for a lesson, right? But $30, maybe that student doesn't damage another device after that. I don't know. The question about the quality of the device and the cost, there's a discussion to be had there, I suppose,
But
in plenty of places.
I completely hear what you're saying. I'm with you on that. I don't want $250 thing either. But basically, we're asking the parents to finance the new Chromebooks is what we're doing. So if I give $75 per year for the next 10 years, right, I'm just basically paying for a Chromebook whenever the Chromebook becomes due. It's what's happening. I mean, if nothing ever happens and
Well,
you
it's like
never.
insurance.
But if you have,
right?
say you have all 4 of those Chromebooks on that bar in your house, and they're all 3 years old, and all 4 of them get pitched onto the floor, and
Yes.
all 4 of them break. Well, they have to be replaced at $250 because it's school property.
No,
Like
I
the
got it.
school owns them, so they're getting replaced, and it doesn't stay with you. If you've paid $30 and somebody careens into the counter and knocks all 4 of them over, then now all 4 of them are getting replaced by the school, and you pitched in, what was it, after the third one, it's 50%, so you paid $60, $75
$75
for those 4
Yeah.
computers, and now all 4 of them are being replaced.
So
by
that's the
this-
way insurance works if you have a claim on your house, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't have claims on their house, so we just keep paying the
course.
insurance and we finance the purchase. So if you have, what do we have, 900 students? You have 900 students and probably average 2 kids per household, whatever it is. So you're basically paying $60 in and you're basically financing it. Only a small portion of them are going to actually execute on the insurance policy. That's the way insurance works, or it doesn't work.
No, it works
So,
that way.
So we're basically
Car
asking
insurance works that
parents,
way,
I
house
know,
insurance,
so
yeah.
we're asking parents to finance the new Chromebooks. I mean, that's what you're,
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if I agree.
where's all the money going?
Insurance plan.
I would say we would recommend, and I think school committee will have to approve a revolving account, and what we would use the money for is to buy the replacements when we have broken ones. I think the school committee is still going to have to allocate funds for the replacement cycle. We are not going to take in enough money to keep up with the
Oh,
regular
no, I'm not saying
replacement
in
cycle.
totality. I'm just
Yeah.
saying you're going to use this money to buy new Chromebooks.
And have spares available in the schools
Which-
when kids forget them. I mean, we've been chasing this issue for years, and
Yeah.
I think we're trying to be responsive to the families who are saying, why aren't we offering something?
Have we made anybody pay $250?
Yeah.
How many?
I don't have the exact number. It's been small because it's a difficult conversation.
So, I mean, that would be my question.
yeah.
How many people paid $250 and how much should we take from the parents' wallets?
I think it is a difficult conversation, charging a family $250 if you don't have that backup plan, because you're making that assessment of, is it intentional damage or is it accidental damage? And so, right now, we feel like maybe parents don't have skin in the game. There's not conversations happening at home about caring for this expensive device,
And I think those
And then the
difficult
back and forth
conversations
with the
aren't going to go
family,
away.
It costs more than $200. Because
Probably.
you're emailing, you're meeting.
I mean, you're still going to be
seeing a
there.
policy.
Sure. Am I mischaracterizing your perspective that it has less to do with the device and more just the nature of an insurance program in principle to begin with?
I don't like any of it. I think the devices were introduced. We don't need all these devices in here. We ran out of schools without these. It's not a good overall theory to educate kids. I get that that's the way we went because of the pandemic, and we're kind of down a road. That's a whole different discussion. But the devices aren't good, and the actual program, it kind of forces me into it. And then I'm going to get into an argument going, I don't think that device was awful, right? Like, I think the device is junk to begin with. So then you're making me to pay $250, and you're not going to, like, everybody who opts out, you're still going to have those difficult conversations with, because I'm going to come in and go, this was garbage. I have pictures of it. Like, you gave me something that wasn't good, so I'm not on the hook for it. So, and you're still going to have those difficult conversations, because everybody who opts out is still going to be in that same scenario. You're just giving one option, which I don't have an issue with. You give that one option for a family to pay $30 or $60 or $75. It doesn't solve the problem, though. It's solved. Part of the problem is solved.
But then maybe if we try it, then we figure out, oh, this is actually how it should go, and it gets a little better if we try it. But I feel like, yeah, the conversations must be really hard to be like trying to decide if it's damage, and that the price is so much higher that it's probably a harder conversation than if it's $30 to decide whether it's like intentional damage or not.
Well, because then you don't really, then you're only having the conversation if you're like, this was definitively not accidental.
Right.
It would be really hard to make the case that this was accidental, therefore now I'm contacting you. And the rest of the time, it's just going to be, there isn't a conversation to have.
Will you prioritize giving out the new Chromebooks to kids that are in 6th to 12th grade because they're the ones that...
The ones in most need, yeah. We were planning on starting with the high school just because we're attached to them and we can get them out as quickly as possible, and then middle schools after that.
Can I ask if we have in policy, or if anybody has discussed, is there going to be a deadline for opting into this? Yes?
I think we would have to set up a time, and
Exactly.
if a parent doesn't respond, they'll get a notice saying your child's Chromebook is going to be deactivated until you make an election,
Opt
either
in or
opt
out.
in or opt out.
Okay.
So I think, we're going to have to
So
put a
no answer
timeline
will
on it.
not be you're opting out.
Yeah.
You
No,
have
I
to
think we need-
actively
Clearly
choose
opt in or
one
out.
And I think to talk a little bit about the tough conversation now is parents might not even know that they could be on the hook for this $250. By forcing them to opt out, they're acknowledging the fact that they are taking responsibility for it. Crappy device or not, they're owning it. And if something happens to it that is determined that it is not accidental damage, they're gonna have to pay for
And
it.
I think that's a great policy.
So
But I'm
that's-
just saying that whenever I opt out, I will be, like me personally, I'm going to be there. If I have a bad device, I'm coming to get a new one. So just like, that's going to be, I think a lot of people are going to look at it that way. So if the new computers are going out, I want a new one, because I don't want the old junky ones. So and I think your policy, exactly what you said, I'm good with that. So tell me to opt in or opt out, but whenever I opt in or opt out, you're gonna create, like right now, I know I'm not on the hook for it. Like you say, I'm choosing to be on the hook or not on the hook. I'm gonna be way more pointed as to what kind of, what you're gonna give me. So, and I every day I look at it, my kids complain about it. So, and I'm sure my kids are not the only ones. And then they yell at each other when they're stealing each other's device. I don't know, Danica, do you use is your Chromebook any good?
I like it.
Is yours all right?
personally.
You probably take good care. So,
Yeah, I like it,
but it's so it's one of those things, and you've had yours all throughout your career.
It stopped working like sophomore year, so I got a new one because the keys just didn't type anymore. So I got a new one, but then it's been the same.
So I would say 3 of my kids' keys don't actually work.
Maybe you're on the list of replacements
I was
coming
gonna
up.
say.
If they're all coming to your house.
So it'll solve the problem for you.
You sit there and try typing on them, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. It's so ineffective. It's cumbersome. So but the one is good. So maybe the one's new and the other ones are all old.
It could be. I mean, they look very similar.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The only way I think to address your concern would be a unified fleet purchased all at once by some sort of lease agreement or something like that. Maybe a more expensive device. You still have to have this conversation, I think, about insurance, because a $500 MacBook replacement is going to hit families harder than a $250 Chromebook replacement.
Is there anyone out there that sells this outside, like where we can go buy insurance on our own computers?
There are
Yep.
entities you could have the parents go through instead of us managing it.
But we couldn't, as Long Meadow Schools, buy protection on all our
I think
devices.
I'm sure there are companies that work in that space.
We could
Yeah.
probably pay for an additional coverage, or I think even the new ones come with an additional cost if you wanted to buy a maintenance agreement on it.
Yeah, I think any vendor's willing to sell you
Yeah.
something along those lines. I think
That was
so.
like 50% of the cost of the device almost for 3 years coverage. Like, it didn't
Way
seem like
more
it was
than
worth it.
$30 per
Yeah.
year.
So
Yeah. This is a modest skin in the game component.
And again, I think we're trying to be responsive to the challenges administrators have been voicing for years now, and parents. I mean, I think the superintendent and I just got an email last week about this particular issue, and why don't we offer something? So I think we're just trying to balance the
Gotcha.
needs of the community.
So we can, if you'd like to consider it tonight, or we can bring it back at a future meeting if there's additional information you might need, if we could gather information on the,
Could we get the information about the, how many people are paying $250, just so that we can make a good decision on, like,
Yeah.
right? I think would be good information. Yes?
yeah, we can do that. I
Okay.
think it will, I don't know that it will totally shed all the light on it that we want, because sometimes
Yeah.
we feel like we can't hold folks accountable to that 250 because we don't have a protection plan. We feel like we would be in a better position to hold people accountable if we had done our due diligence and offered the plan. So,
And could you probably get like an estimate on what that might, like, based on replacements, where you might have had like, oh, this, if had it been a clearer conversation or whatever.
Or
about
even
that.
knowing, like, on an average year, approximately what number of
Sure.
computers are you seeing that you're like, this was definitely
Right.
in need of being replaced because of either accidental damage or purposeful damage?
Sure. So to be completely blunt with you, this plan is coming at a time where we're trying to tighten up our practices around this in general. We've erred towards the side of accommodation and making sure that we're not holding someone accountable that we're not 100% sure on. So anytime we've billed for it, it's been very obvious instances of abuse where the device is literally broken in half or the webcam is ripped out of it. You know, not the kind of thing that happens through natural aging or just an accidental drop even. It's part of tightening up our practices is going to be kind of right now, if a student comes to the main office, there's a prioritization of getting them a device that works, right? And so there's a revolving door kind of thing that happens sometimes. So frankly, there's a lot of data. I mean, every device exchange that happens is recorded. Every device asset tag any student was previously assigned to, it's all recorded. All of the notes are recorded on the device damage. It's just that it's difficult to put that in an easily digestible manner at this point. For this meeting, I did do an export of any device reassignments that happened this year. There was something like 200, but that's reassignments, so that could be ones that we are also getting to swap out for replacement. I went through to look at the notes for any that jumped out to me to get a ballpark of how often is this happening. We landed at 22 this year that were like broken crack screen or hinge broken, you know what I mean, those kind of things.
So a few dozen a year at $250, assuming at conservatively, probably at least 80% of those you're not getting reimbursed from families for. So that's a cost that the district is eating, possibly higher. And so this is a way to defray a little bit of that.
I mean, I also think that part of it is we want to have a behavioral effect that isn't too burdensome. I think that this plan allows us to offer a more predictable and easier financial on-ramp to families, while also kind of like facilitating that conversation of, okay, you know, you paid the accidental damage protection, so you get a new one here, but you only get 2 more replacements if this happens again, you know? Right now, it's just it's a difficult conversation because there's, you know, no one says that is damage they caused. I pulled it out of my backpack and it was like this, you know? So we run into a lot of difficult conversations, and how does that get typed into a computer when you're a main office secretary with 5 kids in front of you and you're trying to manage multiple things? Pulling out like a bar chart that tells the story, like, oh, we were sold. I haven't been able to do it. I really tried. We can try to see what data we can pull out of it, but
No, that's useful already. I think that kind of answers my question about how many. If we're having approximately 2 dozen a year that need to be replaced because of damage, and a very small percentage of those are actually being covered by families, then that's a significant cost. And this is, if nothing else, a way to defray the cost of those replacements. At $30 a year, I doubt it's enough to do much for replacements in the big picture of getting everybody new computers, but it might at least be enough to buffer that cost of those few dozen a year that happen, and or maybe have the effect of reducing that number from a few
Right.
dozen to a smaller number.
And maybe the practice will make it decrease over time as something we have to allocate in our budget.
Correct.
that's the thing. I think the hope is that a few years from now we would meet and be like, remember when this seemed like a big problem, but students aren't damaging them as often? Hopefully, who knows? But
Yeah.
we haven't had a normal year really when it comes to our Chromebook deployment. To Jamie's point, they were deployed in odd circumstances where the environment kind of demanded it. A lot of our fleet that we're replacing this year, that 5.5-year mark, are ones that we bought in the shadow of COVID chip shortages. You know, manufacturers were trying to ship devices out while plants were shut down and chips were short, and so even just going into next year, we're going to have a more consistent fleet of more updated devices, and then a replacement in the following year hopefully might really get us to a good place where there aren't as many 5-year, they'd be all 3 years or under. They would be models that we've kind of been able to test that aren't from the period where they were a little bit sloppier from a build quality perspective. So, we're trying to get to a place where it's a little more consistent and manageable.
So I see this, I mean, I think it's a good policy. I think that, but the policy is very narrow. We're talking about a policy that covers either an accidental issue or a deliberate issue of damage, a deliberate damage or an accidental damage. I think one of the things that I'm listening to Jamie say is that we don't have a policy of when a Chromebook is not functioning properly, what is the process for a family to come to IT and say, my kid's Chromebook's not working well? Where do we have a policy and a process for that? That's different from this. This is damage.
Right, yeah.
It's not function. And what I hear Jamie say is we have three Chromebooks that aren't functioning well. And how do I get that replaced before the 5-year mark because it came out during COVID or whatever, that it's inhibiting my kid's learning process.
Do we have access for students to do like a help ticket or to go through a teacher to do a help ticket?
They could. I mean, we
To
actually
request?
don't restrict them from emailing our help desk. We don't advertise that as the primary means of reaching out, frankly.
Yeah.
If in the past practice, I think would be that if a student had gone to the main office experiencing some kind of issue, that they could replicate in the main office staff, and it's not obviously deliberately damaged. It would just be exchanged. Now, sometimes that gets exchanged for a device as old and crappy as the one that they turned in, but we're kind of hoping. I mean,
I gotcha.
we might have
Yeah.
more overlap in our thinking, but yeah, I think that the ones that we're getting in now should have a solid 5-year lifespan, and we're getting to a point pretty quickly where
But
we're
they
not
may or
going to
may
have those.
not.
So as they're not
Right.
working, they're meant to go to the office of wherever
Yeah,
their school is, their front office, and
anytime,
say,
yeah.
hey, this is not working.
If a
I
student
can't
is
type
not
on
able
it,
to
or the
access,
screen is wonky.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk.
Yeah. No, you're-
Yeah, I got worked up. I'm very excited. Yeah, if it's not working, I'd say they should report it to us. Go to the main office. If it's not something that they can replicate to us, the family can reach out to us, help desk at Long Meadow, and we can arrange to take a look at it. I would encourage them to maybe, if it's not too bad, pump the brakes a little bit, because we've got 800 that are going out, so they probably are, the people who are experiencing that probably are ones that have been marked for replacement anyway.
Yeah, and what's the estimated timeline for sort of the full 800
That's a
to be
great
out?
question. We're hoping to get it done before the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, without beating a dead horse, sorry, I didn't mean to go down a whole rabbit hole here, though. So, can we just look at this and fine tune? So here's my issue. So, we said 20. You said about 22 per year that are.
Oh, well, this year, starting on July 1 up to like yesterday, I just looked through and it was like 22 cases that looked like, ones that we would charge for.
So
Possibly
this kind of
closer to
program.
30 by the end of
Nope.
the year.
So here's my thinking and why I have this. So it's $5,000. Okay, right? We agree on that.
I don't know. You had your phone out. I assume you
It's
used a
5 grand.
calculator. I'll take your word for it.
So
22?
Tom, you're going to collect $48,000 if everybody signs up for it, because there's 1,600 computers multiplied by 30. Well, you're collecting $48,000 for a $5,000 problem. So that's 175 new Chromebooks that this insurance policy is going to cover. So if you're telling me we're looking to profit on this is how we're going to do it, I'm fine with that. If we need that much wiggle room in that, like the years when it's 40 versus 20, or maybe you need to fine tune how much we're going to charge. Because are we just trying to mitigate costs, or are we trying to make money on this?
I think it's much more than a $5,000 problem. And I think
So-
because right now, we're not in a position, we think, to really charge families for accidental damage. And Nick mentioned tightening up our policy. We told the administrators at our meeting last week, we need to tighten up and start charging families for accidental damage, which is, I threw my backpack and it cracked the screen. It fell off my kitchen counter. My friend bumped it out of my hand. The truth is, we need more responsible use, and we need to charge in those situations.
I'm with
because
you.
we're
And
not-
I
we're
actually,
not-
I'm with you guys on that now, but you're telling me we have 279 issues every single year. If you're gonna collect $48,000, you know,
48,000.
because it's 30 times
Calculated.
1,600 between the middle schools and the high school. If everybody signs up on it,
Okay.
it's
but everybody-
48,000, it's
and so-
48,000.
That's like the most you make.
No, but that's your 48 grand is basically, we're sending out a bill that says either opt in, opt out. If you all opt in, 48 grand's coming in. So you're talking 279 Chromebooks that are of issue on any given year, right?
I
That
think-
you would be replacing it if you basically broke even. We take that 48 grand, go and buy 279 of them. So I think I would fine tune that a little bit, because if what we're trying to do is just kind of cover costs and just try to, you need to know how many of these issues we really have. And I agree with you, Marty, it's probably more than what we think.
It's a lot more.
But is it 279 every single year out of our 1,600 Chromebooks? I mean, if that's what it is, then that's great, but I think that, like, how do we come up with, we're gonna collect
I
$48,000?
think so right now, our administrators feel like they cannot hold families accountable because we do not have a protection plan. It's hard to say to a family, look, it fell off the counter, the child threw their backpack and it broke. It's hard to tell that family, you owe us $250, because the immediate reaction from the family is, why isn't there some type of protection plan?
Yeah.
And
But you're
so-
thinking there's gonna be 280 people that we have to replace it that are gonna be a part of this?
I don't think we're going to have 100% participation. I think we'll be lucky to get 50%, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think that even might be high, to be honest with you. I think if we're 30 to 40% participation, I think that's probably a more reasonable expectation. I
But
think
it's-
we
it's-
surveyed some
It's how many
communities.
issues you have. You're still saying there's still 279 issues, whether opt-in or opt-out, whether you're covering half through insurance or not. So even if you're collecting 24 grand, you're still saying there's 279 issues every year with the Chromebooks that we should have held people accountable for.
No, I don't think, I don't know. I guess I'm coming at it from a different, I guess I would understand a little better if it wasn't optional. With it being optional, I don't see the negative. To a family, hey, everything's the same unless you want it predictable.
So I don't see an issue with it as long as I have the new Chromebooks. I'm good with that. Like
And maybe they
it's-
see that when the practice is set up, whoa, only people who have
you
new
bring your
Chromebooks are
Chromebooks
signing
in
up.
and look at
If we
them?
want to continue to spread the practice,
Chromebooks are
we'll get
crap
more
from the
new
first day you
Chromebooks out,
get
and then
them,
we're
and that's
putting
just
them
the truth. And Nick would probably agree with that as well. So they're just not good
I don't even
devices.
use a computer, as you can see. They're all junk.
So they're all junk. But
It's
those ones are
overcomplicated
not
everything.
very good. I mean, they're low end. They don't work that well. Kids were forced to do them during the pandemic because we had no other options. You know, basically the government handed out money to tell us to all go buy computers and do this. This was the most affordable option, and it was the
It
best
happened
option.
fast.
So, and it happened like in the blink of an eye. So,
But
I mean,
come springtime, when MCAS rolls around and families have a few failing Chromebooks at home,
Mhm.
that's when we have issues. Like, remember that, you know, this is really tied to,
Yeah. I know.
students can't participate in MCAS without
I
a
know.
Chromebook.
I thought we didn't have MCAS anymore.
We still have it, it's
Still
just
have it.
not a
Doesn't count.
graduation requirement.
Doesn't
or it
count.
counts, but it doesn't count.
It's
Big
not
asterisk.
graduation.
It's like,
requirement. It counts in all
we're
the
in, but
years.
not
It's
in.
used to track like
We voted for that.
academic progress.
No, it doesn't count to
based on-
graduate.
Oh.
You don't need to hit the marks to graduate,
One
but you
way
still need to hit the marks.
Track.
Yes.
Because we're getting graded by the whatever.
There's a student right here. It's very important, MCAS.
You're well past that.
So,
I mean, I also
I took
think,
the
to
MCAS.
Jamie's
good.
point though, I think it would be great to have a regulated process for people to have a repair service or a diagnostic service or whatever. I think that could
and
be.
the reality is once these things are out of their useful life, you break them up, you throw them, you find the place where you get to dispose
Yeah, but it'd be
of them.
nice for you to be able to bring it and exchange it.
So,
I would say,
But-
I
It's
would
not
say,
used for like a
You can't
frontliner,
use
like
it.
a
You can't
secretary.
but you
or
would
something.
eventually run out of the wiggle room because there's not that many to
Yeah.
exchange. Everybody would want to exchange them.
I'd say dozens of times per day, children are in the office,
Oh.
bringing their laptop to one of the secretaries saying, and the administrators, sometimes
It's
it's
just
a,
not good.
sometimes it's a simple fix. I mean, the devices have improved. I think, I don't want to convey that students are using devices that they can't access the curriculum, because that's our obligation. If a device is failing and it's preventing a child from accessing the curriculum and instruction, then it's our job to replace those, and we do every
And
single
my kids
day.
can get to the curriculum, so most of them will say, oh, this still has useful life.
see.
Yeah.
It's just cumbersome, it's inefficient. It's like being on a computer. You know, certain computers, you're way more inefficient than others. It's
Sure.
just, so my kids know which ones are more
Right, my-
efficient.
my
And they're like, oh, I'm
computer's
good.
horrible.
I got my homework done in an hour versus it took me 2 hours because it's so slow and whatnot. So
I
that's
think
the
actually,
truth.
I think my
So-
work computer is a Chromebook, actually.
Is it?
I think so, it's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
But, you know,
Tell 'em to upgrade
it is what it
those.
is.
So-
I don't know.
Mine's
So
pretty bad,
expensive
too.
we want computers to be when they're spending their day
Yes.
with
So,
middle and high school students.
but I didn't mean to, go ahead. You can move on.
It is what it
Okay.
is.
It's, we can try to bring back some responses to some of the questions that came up at a future meeting, or it's up to you.
Is it-
It's up to.
We've done this a bunch of times, so everybody knows my point. You guys
I
can
know,
go to
so I
it. It
don't know.
doesn't matter.
You know, and then I feel like I was like,
I'm
oh,
not
that
gonna
made me
change
think
my
of,
mind, I can tell you
giving
that.
information,
I'll bring my
but it
four
feels like you
Chromebooks
have
next
it and
time.
gave it when you
Yeah,
just
do we
said
have any
we look,
outstanding
I
questions?
don't think you're
No,
gonna
because I
get
think
me
it's a
new
very narrow
information there.
policy. It's either
Sounds like-
It's hard to boil it
accidentally
down.
Yeah.
broken or
The cases are
deliberately
so-
broken, and that's what the policy addresses, just the brokenness of it.
So the only question I would have that's still potentially outstanding is, this is saying, yes, we're voting for there to be a Chromebook protection plan put out to the community. Details as far as like, what is the date that you have to opt in, opt out by? We don't need to have those solidified
Right,
yet
right.
to take a vote on this.
And I would say, you know, this isn't necessarily even at the policy level. In other words, it's not something that will land up in your policy manual. It's just an administrative practice that we wanted to make sure we ran by the school committee and got your input and
I think it's fine.
consideration. Yeah.
Need a vote there?
And the prices have come
'Cause it's-
down
It's about-
quite a
it's
bit
about-
since last time.
Yeah.
So is that like how do we come, I mean, that's the only thing I would say is because it was really expensive at one point.
Yeah.
'Cause it was-
I'm not sure.
It was way more because I was gonna have to pay for all four, and I'm like, good God, like I'm gonna buy all my Chromebooks every 2 years, and I'm going like, why don't I just buy my Chromebooks, you know? So why 30, 30, and 15? I guess is that low enough?
I think that's probably fairly standard. Didn't we look at this in
Yeah.
finance stuff, if I'm remembering correctly, and looked
Yeah.
I think
at
we did. I think
surrounding
it's lower than
districts?
what most
and
districts
it's-
are charging.
Yeah.
And they're 35 or 40.
I got it,
So-
but
Okay.
Say if you're
Because I
making a
think we just wanted
motion,
to get the
we
practice
would also
started,
want to
right?
establish the creation of a revolving account for
Oh, okay.
receipt
Um,
funds.
Okay, so there's not a motion to be made on a particular policy because we don't have a policy on this yet. We would at some point need to have one. So this would more be directing the administration to create an optional Chromebook protection plan and to establish a revolving account for those funds.
Create and implement, probably
Create and
a
implement.
Chromebook
Okay.
protection plan. I'm not even sure a policy will be needed around this. I think it's more about the
Yeah,
plan
that's
being
true.
administered
Well, because we
by
have
the
other
administration.
policies related to
Use and all
use
that.
it. Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, would you like me to do that?
Mhm.
Yes, okay. Then I move that the school committee direct the administration of Long Meadow Public Schools to create and implement an optional Chromebook protection plan for the 26-27 school year and create and establish a revolving account for the funds of that protection plan.
Can I just modify it, say to begin in the 26-27, so
in
it
the-
doesn't end at the end of the
True,
26-27 school
To
year?
begin in the 2026 school year. 26, 27.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
no.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too. Okay, next on our agenda is the consent agenda for building use requests.
So there are 4 building use requests in your packet tonight. Finance Sub did review these earlier this evening and have recommended their approval. They are events that the Long Meadow Public Schools have hosted in the past. First is a request from the Recycling Commission to the town of Long Meadow for a shredding event on April 25th in the high school parking lot. Second request is from the Parks and Rec Department for a co-ed basketball camp for grades 3 through 8 for use of the high school gym, July 6th through July 10th. The Park and Rec also has a request for a track and field camp for use of the high school gym, July 20th through July 23rd. And the fourth one is also a Park and Rec's request for a co-ed volleyball clinic for use of the high school gym, July 27th through July 29th.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Or a motion?
Yep. On the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee, I move that the school committee approve the consent agenda for the March 10th, 2026 school committee meeting as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nicole? Oh, yeah, sorry. Just to remind you that there is no discussion of items on a consent agenda. And so if a committee member would like one or more items on the consent agenda discussed, the committee would have to vote to remove the consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove the consent agenda?
All set.
No? Now we can move. Okay, Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too. So next on our agenda, we have middle school building project update.
No updates tonight. The design is still out for comment from town departments. There is no middle school building committee meeting this week, so I expect that your next meeting will have a fuller update for you. Probably should mention, though, that there are 2 public hearings coming up. I saw Nicole nudging me. Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals. I don't have the dates.
Zoning Board of Appeals is the 24th
24th.
at 7 p.m. and Planning Board is the 31st at 7 also?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. The Zoning Board one is online, or a Zoom meeting.
Zoom meeting. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So next we have our executive session, and then we're going to reconvene into open session.
I move that the school committee meet in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for collective bargaining sessions with Unit B and D, and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, and 7, approval of minutes to reconvene into open session.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the March 10th, 2026 Long Meadow School Committee meeting. We're reconvening back into open session to have one final thing on our agenda, the memorandum of agreements.
All right, I move that the school committee approve the memorandum of agreement with the Long Meadow Education Association Unit B and to amend the collective bargaining agreements for a 3-year term, 2025 to 2028, as presented, and authorize the chair to sign.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too.
I move that the school committee approve the memorandum of agreement with the Long Meadow Education Association, Unit D, and to amend the collective bargaining agreements for a 3-year term, 2025 to 2028, as presented, and authorize the chair to sign.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too. And we have one final motion.
I move that we adjourn the March 10th, 2026 school committee meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And a yes for me too. Have a good night, everybody.